Join Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio, the host of Only the Best for You. Be a change maker and unlock the secret to your best life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Global Voice Radio show, Only the Best for You, here on Global Voice Radio. My name is Carol Davies of the Passion Motivated Coaching Company, and I'm so pleased to share with you the best information and speakers about how you can be a change maker to make the world and yourself the best that you can be. Today, I'd like to share with you a topic that is quite dear to my heart, and it is about powerful ways that you can overcome obstacles and reclaim your personal power. See, setting goals is the first step. Achieving them is the second step. And it's at this second step that most of us stumble. Most of us stumble not because the goal is out of reach, but because of unexpected obstacles and setbacks that get in our way. I know myself that I like life to go along nicely, smoothly, so I know what's going to happen. I make a plan and set out the way that I would like it to go. Say I have a goal and I have some action steps, and then I do them in the way that I think they should go. And then what happens? Sometimes things don't turn out the way that I think they should. And this is very upsetting usually. But I've learned over the years that if things get in the way as obstacles or things that we stumble on, there are ways that you can get your momentum back by looking at maybe what is causing the obstacle and if there are any ways of going forward or going around them. You see, concealed within every opportunity is an obstacle. Concealed within every obstacle is an opportunity. And yet, many of us are unwilling to explore it. You see, it's so important to persevere and push past your impediments. Obstacles are present in everyday life, be it a barrier that sets you back, halts your progress, or derails your best laid plans. They are discouraging and cause loss of precious time and resources. So beyond the frustration that you feel when it happens, what purpose do obstacles serve? Could there be a greater lesson contained within the experience? It's worth thinking about. Maybe you need to get acquainted with a skill or gain valuable knowledge before proceeding with your plans. We can appreciate that obstacles serve a role other than causing emotional distress. To contest reality will not earn you support because life always prevails. Leaning into your challenges, however, helps you move through the obstacle rather than allowing it to dominate your life. You can turn into one of those people who says, poor me, poor me. But if you think about it, if you have people like that in your life, do you really want to be in their company, or do you sort of steer a wide path around them? Author Jeff Olson has written in the book, The Slight Edge, there are going to be all types of obstacles placed in front of you during your lifetime. And you can determine the size of a person by the size of the problem that keeps them down. Successful people always look at a problem and see opportunity. As I said before, by leaning into your challenges, you embrace life through your non-resistance. The obstacle reveals vital lessons to identify its significance. I'd like to make a few points that will help you overcome obstacles and reclaim your power. You see, if you let an obstacle derail you from the path that you've set, you give that power over you. So you give up your power to direct your life and let yourself be directed by outside circumstances. This is not the best way to run your life successfully. Sometimes when we're knocked around by life, it can weaken our self-esteem. So it's important to stand in your own power. And sometimes an obstacle may come up and it may point out that maybe this is not the right path to accomplish the goal that you want to do. And sometimes you have to let that go and redirect your attention to another way of doing it, another path, maybe asking for help. There's many, many things that you can do besides just letting the obstacle loom in front of you and stop you. Sometimes what we do is we keep hacking away at the obstacle until we're exhausted. And then we have pride, self-worth, and time invested are the main reasons that we keep attacking the obstacle, maybe to no avail. Really, one tip that I can give you is figure out what is holding you back. Sit down and work out exactly what stands in the way of your goals. Get as specific as possible about what your goals are and exactly why you are having trouble meeting them. You'll need plenty of self-awareness to chart out a course of action. Try not to dredge up your usual list of complaints, as this often falls apart into excuses. If you said, "I don't have enough time," think about how you prioritize your time and energy. The real obstacle could be procrastination or letting external events rule you. If you said, "I don't have enough money," this is also often about priorities. The more immediate obstacle might be a lack of time or a lack of motivation, or you might need to learn how to make money and save what you have. Another tip I can give you is think about your history with this obstacle. How long has the obstacle been in your path? What behaviors or negative thoughts keep the obstacle alive or prevent you from working through it? Answering these questions may help you identify the changes you need to make. For example, if you've ever felt stuck since you moved to a new home, there could be something in your new environment or lifestyle that's affecting you. For example, your distance from friends and family could be sapping your motivation if you've moved to a location further away from them, away from your support network. Another tip I can give you is find similarities to previous obstacles. Take a minute to think about other obstacles you've encountered in your life. Whether or not your approach worked then, learn from your experience as you approach the next challenge. Excuse me. For example, if you previously burned out after an overambitious New Year's resolution, try to ramp up more slowly this time. And another tip is determine what you can control. Some obstacles seem beyond your control, so daunting that you have no idea how to get through them. This experience is often paired with fear or another strong emotional reaction. Take a deep breath, put pen to paper, and ask yourself what you can control. For example, you can control your attitude. You can control how much effort you put in. You can control your decision when an opportunity is offered to you. You can control your diet, exercise, and sleep schedule, which can improve your mood and alertness. And here's another tip, too, when you're faced with that obstacle. Analyze interpersonal issues. Some of the most frustrating obstacles are the ones that involve other people. Emotions or gut reactions can cloud your judgment and make the obstacle seem more impossible than it is. Try to break the problem down and discover what actually stands in your way. Often it takes both people to contribute to the obstacle. Rein in your own reaction with mental stoppers such as a deep breath or counting to 10 in your head, or even stepping out of the room for a minute, coming back. Listen to the other person's problems or try to think of them from their perspective. Solve what the other person sees as an obstacle, and you may solve your own problems. In the worst case scenario, restructure your reactions to avoid situations where disagreements arise. Now, what I've just mentioned before are just a few short tips about what you can do to get around obstacles. But there are other things you can do as well, which are a little bit more deliberate. For example, if you have a goal, maybe it's too large. What you could do is break it into a smaller chunk and take these little chunks and make them into smaller steps. It may be that you took too much off in one bite and it's just not feasible or possible to get everything done the way you thought. They say that no one can leap to the top of Mount Everest in one step. So shrink that daunting mountain into a series of more manageable goals. Write a checklist and ask yourself what obstacles prevent you from achieving the first step. For instance, if your goal is to become a doctor, one looming obstacle might be getting a college education. After breaking it down, your new first goal becomes filling out a college application form. You can overcome your first obstacle by picking up a pen. You see, the goal of becoming a doctor is indeed a very laudatory goal, but it's very, very big. And you have to approach things in a more systematic, logical way sometimes. And again, you can consider what I call creative solutions. Once you've listed your obstacles, take a moment to think of alternate paths to your path, to your goal. Is there any way to reach your goal while avoiding the obstacles entirely? These shortcuts don't happen often, but it's worth taking the time to brainstorm with yourself or with others. Talk to somebody who's already attained the goal you're aiming for. They may be familiar with routes you've never heard of. For example, many companies prefer job candidates from inside the company. Maybe you can get hired at your dream company for a less competitive position and work your way up the ladder, or transfer to a different department. It's worth trying. Also, here's another tip. Keep an active plan. Put your plan in writing, starting with what you'll do today and ending with achieving your goal. Now recognize that your plan will likely change. This is just the first stage, which will set your feet on the road. As you learn, grow, and encounter new obstacles, adapt your plan to find the best path forward at each moment. It's a good idea to cultivate the habit of being flexible. Next, track your progress as you work towards your goal. Keep a journal or chart of your progress and your setbacks. Set yourself several milestones along the way and make sure to reward yourself for each one that you reach. And it's a good idea if something happened and you didn't reach a particular milestone. Note down what happened and maybe an alternate way that you could go, because as you look over the history of what you were doing, sometimes these will give you new ideas if you've come to sort of a dead halt. And it's very important to seek advice and support. Find people with similar goals or encouraging friends. Make yourself accountable by sharing your goals and milestones. Seek advice from people with more experience than you who may have overcome the exact same obstacles. There are many, many people who may share your career, hobby, bad habit, or relationship struggle. Look for local organizations and online forums where you can talk about your experiences and trade advice. Next, another tip I can give you is break bad habits. Even if they aren't the obstacles you are trying to avoid, bad habits can set anyone back. Treat these as a whole new obstacle. Overcoming a bad habit with goals and milestones just like any other. And then visualize your goal for motivation. When you get discouraged, close your eyes and picture yourself after you've overcome the obstacle. Remind yourself frequently why you're putting in the hard work and making the sacrifices. It will all be worth it when you shatter the last obstacle at your feet. And also, another tip I can give you is hone your problem solving. You tend to make decisions based on your gut instinct. Try a more analytic approach. Here are a few possible approaches when you're trying to make a decision. Cost-benefit analysis. Write down what you would gain from a decision and what you would lose. Decide whether the benefits are worth the drawbacks. The worst case scenario. If you attempt something and it fails completely, where do you end up? Come up with a backup plan for this scenario. And write a list of all your concerns and treat each as a separate problem. Anxiety over a long-distance move might include finances, losing touch with friends, and your children transitioning into new schools. Solve each problem separately. It's very, very important that we look at these tips that I'm giving you as straightforward things that we can have an arsenal of techniques that help us go forward. And another one I have found very useful for myself is to distance myself from the drama. Because when faced with an obstacle, emotions can run high since you're likely to react to the ensuing drama. Step back from what might be seeming chaos and see the obstacle from a greater perspective. For example, an artist, sometimes if they reach a block in painting, will step back, take a look at the painting, and go back in, and if that isn't working, take some breaks, because that way they go back to the painting with fresh eyes and approach it from a different perspective. So you might adapt the same tactic with your obstacle and come back to it with renewed enthusiasm when the time is right. Also, you should seek out necessary resources. Often you may lack provisions, finances, strategies, or a key piece of knowledge to conquer your obstacle. The key is to acknowledge that it is resource related. For example, you may need a key software program to automate a process, freeing you up to focus on more important work. Consult those who can help you overcome the hurdle. As they say, enlist a fresh pair of eyes to see what you may be missing. And finally, gain perspective. It can overwhelm you when an unforeseen obstacle emerges. To get caught up in the ensuing crisis, redirect vital resources to make critical decisions. Gaining perspective helps you step away from what we could call noise. You might seek help from others, talk to friends or loved ones who can offer a different challenge and a different assessment of your obstacle. Perspective does not imply dissociating from the obstacle in resignation. It means viewing it from numerous vantage points while considering other options. It was author Robert Brault who wrote, "We are kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." And another intriguing quote by Orison Swett Marden is, "Most of our obstacles would melt away if instead of cowering before them, we should make up our minds to walk boldly through them." Also, once you've gotten some perspective, evaluate the obstacle. Can something be done to overcome the obstacle now, or does it require expert help? Consider it objectively as though you were seeing it for the first time. Use logic and sound judgment to avoid becoming emotionally enslaved to the task. Winners know that they're going to face hurdles, obstacles, failures, tragedies, and disasters the same as everybody else. And stay focused and committed. Often an obstacle is not intended to weaken your actions. It's an invitation to get clear on the process to advance to the next stage. Be unrelenting in your commitment. Do not give up. Obstacles are figments of your thinking. That's why as soon as your old thinking departs, new thinking arrives and obstacles fade away. So don't allow setbacks to get you down, because you're bound to fall upon many setbacks in life. And finally, develop a growth mindset. In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, author Carol Dweck dwells into two different mindsets required for success: fixed or growth mindsets. She provides a comprehensive foundation how to develop a growth mindset, which is aspiring towards continuous improvement, and building on your successes. She states, "The passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in their lives." So I hope that I've been able to give you some creative ideas about how you can deal with obstacles, because we all come across them, and it really is so easy to get distracted by it. But if we train ourselves that obstacles are going to occur naturally in life, it's a part of life, and we develop coping skills to deal with them, it's a much better way to have your life run itself in a more forward and positive way. And it cuts down a lot of your personal stress. So I hope that you will find some great takeaways from my ideas today. If you want further information or want to talk about more ideas with me, contact me through my website, www.thepassionmotivator.com, or by email at coachcaroldavies@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you can change your life at any time and become the success you want to be. I look forward to connecting with you again next week. Bye now.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern for Only the Best for You with Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio.